Oscar Piastri has made a strong statement, and on the circuit of chaos and walls, he can finally start the internal fight of the McLaren team. Welcome then to the 5th round of the Formula 1 World Championship, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's time to return to the chaotic realm of street racing, where speed and risk combine, with walls dangerously close to the track, where a small error can lead to major repercussions. The Jeddah Corniche circuit, the Arabian beast, challenges drivers to brush the walls at insane speeds. But also it comes spiced up with the internal struggle of McLaren, whose battle for the title is separated by 3 points, which can explode at any moment, with both Norris and Piastri having a great chance to become world champions. With this challenging circuit and the current scenario, it's realistic to expect another thrilling Grand Prix. Wild in these Arab lands. The recipe for chaos is served. This circuit does not forgive mistakes, and the only question is whether it will be the place where the rivalry in McLaren explodes. Let's start the preview of the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix 2025 of Formula 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come to close the first triple race of the year, and before us appears one of the most ridiculous circuits on the calendar. That combines speed, walls, fast curves, and that with just a spark can give us a completely insane race. And even though this Formula 1 has a clear number one, the thing this season is more even than many can give credit for. And where we have cars with volatile rhythms, changing situations, and a struggle that can trigger an internal rivalry, these are the ingredients we have for this Grand Prix. So to start with this preview, it's time to analyze the insane Arab circuit that will give life to this new round of the Formula 1 World Championship. Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Its circuit is the Jeddah Corniche circuit, located in the seaport of this city, built in the year 2021. 6.1 kilometer of travel, 50 laps, 27 curves, 3 drag reduction system activation zones, and 2 potential zones for overtaking maneuvers. Characterized by being an extremely fast circuit with the walls close to the track and as challenging as it is dangerous. The first sector of this circuit is the most technical, with a combination of insane curves and one of only 2 slow curves on the entire track. The main straight is the drag reduction system activation zone, although it starts and extends from the end of the last sector. But it goes through this entire area until it reaches the hard braking of turn 1, thus providing an important area for overtaking. But the particular magic of this part of the track is found in the fast link turns from 4 to 12. Very high-speed turns, where the walls are gently grazed, and where the aerodynamic support of the car and surgical precision are extremely important to come out of these challenging turns, gaining time and not hitting the wall. Believe me, absolutely. It's the hardest part of this circuit, but it's also the most exciting part that has the 6 points. 1 kilometer of this track's route. From the second sector, this circuit will basically be full throttle. It has a medium speed curve, which is the 13th but after it. The curves in this sector are very fast and most are taken with the throttle wide open. It has a drag reduction system zone in the speed area, between turns 19 and 22. But it's more useful for sticking to rivals than for trying overtaking maneuvers. It's not a particularly complex sector, but it's very fast, where the biggest challenge is surviving the turns. 16, 17 and 18. And the last sector is even faster than the past one. After crossing the ultra-fast turn 22 and 23, there's a wide curve where you go full throttle and activate drag reduction system, for the last time on this circuit. It extends throughout this curve until reaching the hard braking of 27, and thanks to its size, overtaking is possible. But how? At the exit of the last curve is the detection area of the long drag reduction system zone of the main straight. If you overtake at this point, you run the risk of being counterattacked and left exactly as you started. So this sector is characterized by pure and flat speed, very much in tune with the rest of the circuit. Jeddah is a fast, treacherous track, but where battling is very possible thanks to its huge straights, since it was precisely conceived to become at the time the fastest street circuit in the history of Formula 1. And in this challenge, Jeddah provides very unique conditions in the calendar of precision, courage, and a ridiculously high level of necessary concentration. As other data to take into account, this dangerous circuit has had the appearance of the safety car in every Grand Prix where it has been competed. Since 2021, the safety car has always come out. This essentially, though incorrectly, gives us a 100% probability of the safety car appearing in this Grand Prix. Although it's not absolutely certain, is it very likely to appear? It's simply a fact. Although every curve of this circuit is highly dangerous, the combination of curves 22 and 23 stands out from the rest. A high-speed section with a wall at the curve's entrance. And hitting it or touching the piano too much at the exit will inevitably lead you against the wall, to the outside of the curve. And as there is very little room to maneuver, losing the car here will most likely mean a very hard hit against the wall. The brakes and traction are rarely tested on this circuit, with only 2 slow curves on the entire track, making these elements less critical in the car's setup. And as this circuit is mostly full throttle curves, a medium-low aerodynamic load configuration is required, adding only what is fair and necessary to face the challenges of the first part of this extremely fast circuit. And on this track you can overtake in addition to being able to battle thanks to the long straights that facilitate maneuvers. And there are 2 key points for any overtaking attempt. The first is the drag reduction system zone, extending from turn 25 to the braking of 27, which is massive and has a strong left braking, allowing overtaking. However, as I explained earlier, if you overtake, the detection zone of the next drag reduction system zone is right after this turn. So the roles will change, and from being the attacker, the pilot in question, now he will have to defend himself. So many save their maneuvers and try it on the main straight, which with such a beastly distance. Once again, hard braking at turn 1's entrance offers drivers the optimal chance for overtaking. As long as you finish the maneuver before the turn, or understand how God gives you the inside when you get to the braking. So on a scale of 1 to 5, the difficulty to overtake is a 3. It has its complications, but it's not impossible. In the Jeddah pit lane, they drive at 80 km per hour, it's fast transit, and its entrance and exit don't have a sudden deviation, being parallel to the main straight. In fact, its transit is very fast, so a pit stop with a full stop can be completed in just 20 seconds. And tire wear is not that high, although there is some struggle with lateral loads. The asphalt is not abrasive and the rubber is not subjected to much stress, making it a track with little degradation. In previous years, usually 1 pit stop was enough for the entire race. This year, Pirelli will bring a softer tire range than previous years, the C3, C4 and C5 tires. And it is expected that even though degradation will be higher, the race under normal conditions can be done with just 1 pit stop. Jeddah circuit is a formidable track that demands courage and composure from drivers at every turn. It's a very fast combination, where the walls are grazed, where battles can be intense, but where mistakes will be punished with great violence. So a race that may seem normal and can go normal for most of it. With these conditions and a wrong move from one moment to another, it can change in a completely radical way. We are on holidays. Easter has arrived in Mexico, parts of Latin America, and the United States. It's spring break time, and that only means rest, travel, and for some people, getting to know the world. However, trips often have uncomfortable setbacks, for example, being at an airport using public Wi-Fi. It could be that anyone steals your personal information and knows, I don't know, that you're a lover of furries? Or worse, they steal your banking information and spend it on furries. But there are also cases where people travel to places with restrictions, where you can't freely browse the internet. And if you're a fan of furries, maybe in the country you're going to travel to, you won't be able to see them. But if this is your case, or at least similar, I have a tool that will make these situations simply not drive you crazy, and you can overcome them. The Virtual Private Network tool from our friends at Surfshark. The Virtual Private Network, or Virtual Private Network, has many uses. Aside from accessing blocked content worldwide by changing your internet protocol, it also filters your data and encrypts it to prevent misuse. So using Surfshark is like having a shield that prevents anyone from misusing your information if you surf on public networks or if you download things from the internet. Using a function to change your internet protocol address can help bypass regional blocks when visiting certain countries. With this, you can open your applications normally or even get discounts at some online stores that are not available in your country. It also helps you access blocked content from platforms like Disney, Netflix, Formula One television, and others. But look, you be the one to test what I'm telling you. What if you go to surshark.com/Skyline and use my code Skyline? You can get up to 4 extra months at no cost when you sign up for the service and use it on an unlimited number of devices. And if you don't like it or you're not convinced, you have a total money-back guarantee. So I recommend that you don't miss this opportunity and take advantage of the benefits of having a virtual private network at hand. Thanks to this tool from our friends at Subshark. Piastri has made a statement in the last race in Bahrain which tightens the fight for the driver's title, where the internal situation at McLaren seems to be a ticking time bomb that will eventually explode, when both start to want, more than anything else, the driver's title. So, and in view of this scenario, it's time to see what this race holds for us with the 1x1 of teams and drivers of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. The McLaren team, after the stumble in Japan, has shown its strength again with another double podium, this time led by Oscar Piastri, who is in an incredible form compared to Lando Norris, who, unlike Oscar, is very erratic and unable to get the most out of the car, unlike his young teammate. Andres Tella and Lando Norris stated that this year's car is very different from the 2024 model. And being a completely different car this time, Norris can't adapt his driving style to the car as well and has less confidence, and that has made him much more erratic this season. McLaren says the car is nervous, and while Piastri has adapted to it, Norris has struggled to do so. And the team doesn't seem to have any magic solutions, so Norris is going to continue experiencing these problems until he finds a way to gain more confidence. But he is hopeful that sooner or later he will find the solution to the problems he is experiencing. And for this Grand Prix, things might not be so simple for the Orange team as this circuit is very fast and the fast circuits don't seem to be so strong for McLaren. But they will have the high temperatures that are expected and their strength in tire management on their side. So McLaren is looking like the favorite again, but maybe in this Grand Prix? If any other team can do things right from the practices, they could potentially put them in some trouble. Mercedes once again showed how balanced their car is, even confirming it on a circuit that initially did not favor them due to its weaknesses. And that is that their car works well in all kinds of conditions. Jeddah is a circuit that, in theory, should adapt much better to the characteristics of the W1/6, with few slow curves and a lot of speed, which could make Mercedes particularly dangerous this weekend against McLaren. Improvements for the car are expected between Miami and Imola. But with Russell only 14 points from the top, if the car evolves correctly, you can't rule out Mercedes and Russell in this fight. I say Russell because Anthony Lee is still adapting to and understanding the car. So this weekend Mercedes has a good opportunity to continue with the harvest of points. And maybe later in the season, have some opportunity to put up a fight with the people from McLaren. The Red Bull crisis continues. And what I mentioned in the previous preview was confirmed that precisely the circuits where the rear of the car takes on greater importance are the biggest weakness of the RB21. And now in Bahrain, they behaved like the fourth team on the grid, where they were defeated by all their direct rivals. And absolutely nothing worked for them, neither the strategy nor the pit stops, let alone the pace. But it was also proven that high degradation is another very big weakness of the RB21. Red Bull suffered greatly among various factors, triggering alarms once again within the team. Despite the incident in Japan, they reaffirmed that the RB21 is very unruly and unstable. And this team knows that the updates coming in Imola are vital for the difficult aspirations that Max Verstappen is starting to have for the driver's title, where they need them to work. But still, voices within the team don't exactly know what the problem with the RB21 is. And if they don't know what the problem is, they probably can't solve it either. The situation has reached such a point that there are already rumors that Max would be thinking about jumping ship. Or at least he would be looking at his options. Looking ahead to 2026. The Jeddah circuit is more suited to the RB21, so Red Bull is expected to perform better in this Grand Prix. Although it's hard for them to repeat it from Japan, it also shouldn't be as disastrous as Bahrain for the Milton Keynes team. So if there is a chance to turn their situation around, all they have left is to keep resisting. Wait for those improvements in Imola to work and pray that Spain's technical regulations end up nerfing all the rivals they have in front. Ferrari has shown small signs of life. After introducing the improvements seen in Bahrain, they have become more competitive, although still far from the goal of getting closer to McLaren in pace. In these Grand Prix, the goal is to optimize the upgrade package to extract more performance in upcoming races. Ferrari will consolidate their position and progressively seek to improve performance going forward. While it's uncertain if they can match their Bahrain performance in Jeddah, they aim to showcase their strength. Or simply did the characteristics of the soccer circuit benefit them, and it wasn't so much about finding rhythm with those parts? For now, they look a bit better, and that's a reality, but to be honest, they still seem quite far from being a nuisance to the team. McLaren. Following the first Grand Prix, Haas appeared to be a backmarker, but they have effectively addressed their exposed weaknesses. And with another double harvest of points, Haas now leads the mid-table. And in 3 different Grand Prix, they have shown a lot of speed and race pace ability. So it seems that the revisions they made to the floor and adjustments they have made to the car are gradually working. So it is expected that Haas will once again have the opportunity to fight for points in this competition. But seeing how everything has changed from one moment to the next, obviously things are not going to be easy. The last race broke Williams' streak of scoring points in every Grand Prix. And despite a promising start to the weekend by Carlos Sainz, the race was a complete disaster. However, the fight has intensified. Now in the mid-table, with Haas's performance jump, Alpine and Williams must avoid weekends like they had in Bahrain. It's uncertain if Williams will have an upgrade package for this Grand Prix, so the fight for points is expected to be intense. But now Williams has many more rivals he should be wary of. Aston Martin is getting worse, and its form has dropped considerably from the first race of the year in Australia to the last one in Bahrain. Now it is known that apart from the fact that the Aston Martin is a difficult car to handle, another of its major weaknesses are high temperatures and high degradation, which are precisely the characteristics of the last race in Bahrain. Despite Jeddah not appearing to be a degrading circuit on paper, it seems unlikely that Aston Martin can easily score points on this track. Their best chance to score points seems to be taking advantage of any chaotic situation on the track. But let's be honest, the 2025 season's future looks very bleak. And we'll have to see if just with those improvements expected for the upcoming Grand Prix, Aston Martin can get out of the hole they are currently in. Are they already considering abandoning this season and aiming for success in 2026? Racing Bulls appeared to struggle in Bahrain's heat, going from being the midfield's strongest cars to completely vanishing. And the problem is that high temperatures are expected again in Jeddah this weekend. If the issue in Bahrain was not isolated to that circuit, they will face it again. So all we can do is wait to confirm this information or see if on the contrary the last race in Sakir was just a minor setback. Alpine made a significant improvement from one race to the next, with their strong performance in Bahrain earning them their first points of the season. Additionally, starting from the back of the grid, there is not enough information on how Alpine managed such performance after such complicated races this season. But one of the theories that has been most considered is that the French car finds its best operating window the hotter it gets. But also Alpine's own staff has commented that what has helped, at least in Bahrain, is that the car's front end worked perfectly. And that allowed them the huge leap in quality that we saw with Pierre Gasly's results. However, this competition looks challenging, as fast circuits have never been Alpine's forte. And the Jeddah circuit is one of the fastest on the calendar. So all we can do is wait to see if this Grand Prix is a confirmation of the French team's progress, even if they can't fight for points. Or was Bahrain simply a mirage due to the track conditions? And about Kick Sober, there really isn't much to comment on. They have already fallen back to the bottom. As I mentioned, I believe the sole upgrade package this team is expected to deliver won't be enough to resolve their current predicament. Thinking that this team will aim to focus all their resources on the 2026 car. But this circuit, being somewhat chaotic, if a lottery happens to occur, it might give them a chance to get closer to the points. It seems very complex for something like this to occur. But with the current state of Formula 1, nothing can be ruled out at this point. As for the weather, and as is usually the case in these desert regions of Asia, there is a 0% chance of rain for Friday, Saturday and Sunday of this Grand Prix. However, taking into account the characteristics of the Jeddah port, high humidity and temperatures ranging between 29 and 31 degrees are expected. So, ladies and gentlemen, prepare for another hot weekend, but without rain, to face the challenging Arab layout of the Jeddah Corniche circuit. To wrap up this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix preview, let's look at the historical data for this specific circuit. So you can take some trivia home from this little preview. By now, you likely know this F1 circuit, designed by German Tilke, made its debut in the memorable 2021 season. With the explicit request from the organizers to make this circuit the fastest street circuit in the history of Formula 1. However, the pleasure was short-lived, as Las Vegas took it away in 2023. However, it seems that its days are numbered because in 2028, Saudi Arabia will move the Grand Prix to Kivila with the new circuit that is being built in the Mega Entertainment Complex. A circuit that will have a futuristic look, surrounded by entertainment parks and an ascending curve, one that promises to be completely monstrous. And just like Bahrain, Saudi Arabia has never had a local driver representing them. But the most successful driver they have had in their history is named Abdulaziz Al Faisal, who is a driver who competed for several years in endurance and GT, 3 categories, harvesting 28 victories in different events until he retired in 2019. But no Saudi Arabian driver has even come close to reaching the pinnacle of motor racing. Lewis Hamilton holds the lap record at this track, which he set in the circuit's debut year. With his 1-2 punch, he set a record of 137-134 that no one has been able to snatch from him. Red Bull is the most successful team in this Grand Prix's history, with 3 consecutive victories since 2022. The only winners of this Grand Prix have been Lewis Hamilton in 2021 and Sergio Checo Perez in 2023. The all-time top winner of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is Max Verstappen, with victories in 2022 and 2024. These being the numbers and data of this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix for this new round of the Formula 1 World Championship. With that, we conclude the preview of the 2025 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix of Formula 1. But this is where I ask you, do you think anyone can beat McLaren on this track? Can Mercedes put up a fight? Can Red Bull replicate what we saw in Japan? And let me know your top 3 of who you think will be the first 3 drivers to occupy the podium at the end of this Sunday's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Let me know all your opinions in the comments section. I'll sign off by saying that if you liked this video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so you know when I'm uploading a new video, and share this with your friends. I also invite you to follow us on our Instagram and Twitter accounts linked in the video description. And see you this Sunday for the summary at the end of the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. Thank you for tuning in and see you later.